All right, and joining me today is Natalie Salcedo, who fights Giulliany Perea at Invicta FC 59. That fight is on December 13th. So, Natalie, I wanted to start here. Just kind of a rundown of your career for those who might not be familiar, too. An incredible run through the amateur ranks, really a ton of wins. And then there
Yes.
was like 2 years in between the amateurs and the pros. And I know, obviously, the pandemic got in the way for a lot of people, and that was a
Yeah.
big piece of it. Was it mostly just that for you that sort of delayed your pro start?
Yeah. So a little bit did overlap with COVID. I want to say that two of my fights were a little bit unrelated. The girls just pulled out, but both of them, like in a row, both of them pulled out like 2 weeks before our fight, just for injuries or different things. And it was just kind of bad timing, bad coincidence. And then I think I had another fight lined up after that, that may or may not show up on Tapology. And then that one I think ended up getting canceled due to COVID. So yeah, it was just a lot of different things happening at the same time that delayed things. And I'm sure it was the same for a lot of people.
And so, like, was it your goal all along? Yeah,
My dogs are barking.
no problem at all. Mine pop in there too. So, what was it your plan all along then to turn pro? Because I know some people obviously take amateur fights for different reasons, test themselves, physical fitness. But like, was it your point right from the very get go of your amateur career that you always wanted to be a pro fighter?
I don't think so. Not right at the beginning. It quickly became something that I definitely thought I wanted to pursue professionally. I wanted to pursue at the very least like long term. But when I very first started, no, it was more just about competing, challenging myself, the fact that I just thought it was fun, and that's pretty much it. Eventually it started to pick up into something that I really found a lot more fulfillment in. And I was like, hey, I think I want to do this, as my career.
And was it just the fulfillment of the situation? Was it just that like you're like, hey, I really like punching people in the face that like made you decide to take that leap, or was there some sort of success that made you finally say yes, this is definitely career bound?
Yeah, I think it was just the fact that it just motivated me so much. I think for a long time, like a lot of people, I think that especially in early adulthood, we can kind of find ourselves not knowing what we're going to do or what inspires us and what we're passionate about. And the more that I was doing training, the more that I was doing jujitsu, Muay Thai, MMA, all these different things, the more that I realized that I could use this as an avenue to just be a better person, to like, be the person that I want to be a person that's disciplined, be a person that holds myself accountable and all these different like great, I think like building blocks that come with it. And then eventually I was like, hey, I can do that and actually make a career out of this. And it wasn't easy, actually. Like it definitely wasn't something that was, I found a lot of success. And I have a really good amateur record. But when I first started fighting, I started fighting Muay Thai. And I think I went like 1-4 in my first few fights. Like it was not good.
And so was that then the option to bring it to MMA? Because obviously I know you've had a lot of success with your jiu-jitsu game. Has it been because that's like sort of what you took to better than the Muay Thai? And what made you do Muay Thai first then?
So I actually started training Muay Thai first. I started training Muay Thai as a teenager, but it was very recreational. I didn't even spar back then. It was more like it wasn't cardio like Muay Thai, it wasn't cardio kickboxing, but it definitely was not, full training. It was like mostly pad work, a little bit of light drill sort of thing, just for funsies. So that's what I started with. And then when I moved to Colorado, I picked that back up again, just for like fitness and things like that. And so I started doing that first. And so that's kind of what brought me back to training, around, I think it was like age 23 or so. And then after doing Muay Thai for a while, and actually not even a while, like a couple weeks maybe, everybody that was in my Muay Thai class also did jujitsu, and they would kind of troll me for not doing jujitsu and only coming to the Muay Thai class. And so eventually I just kind of pressured into it. And you're right, yeah, after a while I realized, hey, I kind of like this more, but it took a long time. I didn't like jujitsu at first. But yeah, after a while, I saw a little bit more success in that, and I kept doing Muay Thai. I never stopped doing that. I mean, I think I ended up having like 17 amateur fights in Muay Thai, so it's something that I kept doing. But I do think that after a while, I kind of realized, hey, I kind of like this like grappling stuff better.
And that's awesome. And now I gotta ask too, because I watched your title fight in Peak. It almost looks like you pull guard in that second round, right?
So I tripped. It was so, I was like, after I fell, I was just like, oh my God, what a fucking idiot.
Okay, because I had to ask, because it was right on that border of being like, is she tripping here? Is she pulling guard? Is she the type of fighter who would pull guard? Like,
No, never.
and hey, guard pullers get a dirty name and whatnot, but like, there's a time and a place for everything. So,
Yeah.
okay, so officially on the record would not pull guard in
No,
an
just
MMA
I'm just
fight.
an idiot. That's all. I was trying to trip her, and then like as I turned to trip her, I just stumbled over my own feet and fell over. And then I was like, "Well, we're in guard now," and
And,
I was like,
and it seemed like you went right to work, right? Like it seemed like that's where you were your comfiest. So like while it didn't wind up being a guard pull at the end of
"Yeah."
the day, but like is that something that you regularly think about? Is that you're way more comfortable even if you're on your back in those types of grappling situations?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm definitely comfortable grappling anywhere. It's something that I don't mind by any means, and I think that's something that, for a lot of people, maybe makes me a really dangerous fight. Is that I really don't care where we fight. I mean, I can be on bottom, I can be on top, we can be striking, we can be wrestling against the cage. I really don't care. I feel like I've done a really good job of like building a good amount of like roundness to my game that I'll fight you anywhere.
I love it. Now, speaking of fighting anywhere, obviously that fight took place at strawweight. We know you've taken catchweight fights at 110.
Actually, so I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but they reported that wrong. I don't know why they
Oh,
said wait, it was an atom weight fight.
oh,
It was
awesome.
105.
Well, even better. So then I wanted to ask about atomweight in general because I know that's where this fight is coming up. That's where your first fight was for Invicta. You fought in the amateurs at atomweight. It is the UFC has been flirting with the idea of
Mhm.
doing atomweight for some time. Is that something you regularly keep on your mind and on the radar, being like, everybody who fights wants to fight at the highest level, and right now you're pretty much at the highest level of what we see for atomweight in a lot of places. So, is it something that you regularly try to keep tabs on? You're regularly hoping for?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've been hoping that they open an atom weight division for years. And then once they just recently started talking about it a little bit more seriously, like I lit up and I was like, oh my God, it's gonna happen. I really hope, because right now, like, there's not a lot of places for atom weights. It's pretty much Invicta, one and peak, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you want as many options as possible when it comes to that. Now, let's talk about that fight for Invicta because you are returning to the promotion for this one. You're walking away, or at least temporarily, from that peak title, and you get this sort of interesting fight here with Giulliany Perea. Talk to me about how you felt about it stylistically when they gave you the name.
I felt like it was a great fight. I know that she's a really good fighter. She has a really good record. She's a good black belt. Um, I think that I really think that I'm a lot more rounded than her, and I think that that's going to edge me out in this fight. But at the same time, I think that she's very dangerous and clearly has really good grappling, has submitted, I think, like half of her opponents. So I think for me also, this is a great fight that it's going to allow me to push myself. And, people, I mean, Stephanie Hernandez herself was a black belt, Giuliani, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
I've actually been confused about that. Giuliani.
To my knowledge,
She's a
that's how
really
we say it.
she's a really good black belt. And so I think it's one of those things where, if I can go out there and out grapple her, I can also really cement myself as I'm not somebody that's just been taking fights against girls that aren't grapplers and out grappling them, as I'll out grapple anybody. And then specifically against her too, it's like, well, if she wants to keep this, the fight standing by any means, and that's fine with me too. And I can show that aspect of my game.
I love it. Now, I like to always get, before I let any fighter go, a prediction on the fight. So, you mentioned she's well-rounded, you're well-rounded, you got a lot of confidence in your skills everywhere, but how do you see this one ending come December 13th?
I think that I think I can get on top and sub her. Honestly, that's what I'm going to be looking for. I'm pretty sure that, she's going to come out and she's going to try to instigate grappling exchanges, and I'll be able to get the best of those and eventually either work my way on top to be able to accept her, or, like you saw in the Stephanie Hernandez fight, push come to shove, I end up on bottom. That's fine with me too, and like you saw my Katie Perez fight too. I also don't just hunt subs. When I'm on bottom, I'm looking to do damage. I'm looking to hit you. And I think that's going to open up a lot of opportunities for me.
I love it. Now, I usually end the interviews right there with that question, but we had a quick intermission in the middle of our interview because your dogs were barking, your dogs were in the other room. So as a fellow dog lover, you got to give me what kind of dogs you got. What are their names? Give the people a little bit of dog content for us.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I actually have 5 dogs.
Oh.
And so there's a lot of them barking at once. So we have 3 Dobermans, a Greyhound, and a Beagle.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, and best of luck to you in finding a way to travel away from them while you're fighting. And of course, somebody who wants to take care of 3 Dobermans in that time. But Thank you so much for the time. Once again, fans, this has been Natalie Salcedo, who fights Giulliany Perea at Invicta FC 59. Once again, that fight December 13th. Natalie, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you.